Today, we're going to be talking about burnout. I am having a guest that will be joining me momentarily. Life is busy, so many things happen behind the scenes. We look at a finished product or a podcast or a conversation, and we just think everything is flowing so naturally, no challenges. But life happens, right? And so, this is really why this topic is really important. So I'm excited for you guys to join me today. I'm going to be having Layla join me momentarily. If you're hearing background noise, don't even get stressed out. That's my kids. I do have 9 of our 15 kids that still live at home. And we're all over the place, all over the house, could be doing different things. And so we're not aware if somebody's recording, taking video, or things like that. So if you hear noise, that's just simply one of my kids popping in and saying hello. Hey, Tori. I do want to shout out a few people, though, before we get started. We have Dr. Wendy Labat. So this is like a little luggage tag, but she is the author of the Financial Cure series. She's a fellow TV producer with me on Zandra TV Network. She has her own show, but she also was a guest on my show, helping women to understand the value of financial literacy. Okay. And so let me see here. We have Layla who is sending me a message saying that she can't get in. You just gotta love it. Okay. So I'm gonna send her an invite again. Okay. So, I'm not the tech person, but I'll roll with it and see what happens. So I also want to shout out Gail Speckcamp. She and I got connected through a networking group online, never met in person. But she sent me this mug. It says America's Supermom. And it's just like a little travel cup because I just made introductions for her. So a lot of people don't realize the value of introductions. And so I'm really excited to shout her out. And then lastly, I want to shout out I Am Magazine. We are actually um, collaborating on She Wins March. And I had an event this past weekend, and they sent me this, they gave me this award in person for helping them to get them going with their men's division. So they have a digital magazine and they have a women's magazine and it's in English and Spanish, and then they also have just started a men's magazine in English and Spanish. And so I just made introductions, y'all, introduced them to the right people, and now they are flourishing with the men's division. So if you are a man, you have a story to tell, or you want to be featured, connect with I Am Magazine, Jennifer Thompson or Yadira Munez on LinkedIn. So I'm excited to be here with you, Layla. Sorry about, the challenges getting on.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, like, I was like trying to get in. I was like, why can I not get in? What's
It's
happening? My
crazy.
apologies for being basically late, even though I couldn't figure it out how to get in there, but we made
You
it
are
happen.
fine. I'm just saying, I've learned to roll with it. It's like, hey, it's just a part of what happens, because if you think that everything's going to work out always the perfect way all the time, you're in for a treat, right? Because it just doesn't happen that way. It's always some kind of chaotic stuff. And for me, it's always that way with technology because I don't know. It's just not my thing, right? I've learned to tolerate it, navigate with it, but it is just, I try not to let it stress me out, so I just say, hey, things are going to happen. It is what it is. Try not to take myself too seriously because if I did, I wouldn't be on this camera right now. I'd be like, oh my gosh, is that a sign? I don't know. Should I even do it anymore? Crazy. But really excited to have you today because we're going to be talking about burnout. So I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself before we get into this conversation around a very important topic. And we just were having a regular Zoom call, and it was just something that we just really felt was important to shine the light on and have a conversation live for other people if they have questions that they can join in. We also have Coach Carrie who is listening right along with us. And so she's really excited as well. So go ahead and introduce yourself before we get into our conversation today.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. Well, Layla's from Vancouver, Canada, so it's 10:21 for me. So it's different time. And I'm an HR leader and a certified executive coach. I've been in HR for 15 years, and I've worked with a lot of leaders, a lot of employees, and I see a lot of things. You're at the front side, you're at the forefront of people. And
Mm.
I have seen a lot of people experiencing burnout in the workplace, and it trickles down as well into personal life. And sometimes the personal life kind of falls also in the workplace as well. So I think this is like a really great conversation. We came up with that topic just about conversation. And Lachelle's like, I think we should talk about this. And I said, yeah, maybe you're right. Absolutely. I think it might resonate with a lot of people, especially what's going on in the world, what's been going on the past few years. Um, I, I've seen more and more mental health burnout happening the
Mhm.
past few years, right? So I think this is going to be an important conversation, and hopefully we can help others and they can find some that you're not alone in that, right?
Yes. Mhm. Absolutely. So, there's so many different directions, I've had this experience, and so I don't want to be like a fire hose telling people a whole bunch of stuff that I've learned. So, I think the first question I would ask is, how does someone even determine that it is burnout. In my case, raising 15 children, it was like I was in survival mode. I didn't even think anything different. It was like, oh, I made it through this day. Tomorrow, I just want to try to be more energized. But, it was the same cycle over and over again, which was really like a part of my depression. So for somebody who is they've heard the term, but how do they even know that that's what they're experiencing from your experience?
That's a great question, and sometimes you can't see yourself,
Mhm,
right? But I would say some of the signs is people will tell you you're different. You're not yourself. You seem more stressed. You're tired. You seem disengaged. You seem like you lack a bit of focus. You're worried more, you're more tired, you're not as happy as you used to be. Like these are the things that your behaviors start changing, but you don't realize it because like you mentioned, you're on a survival mode. You just keep going. And I would say when people speak up and they tell you these things, I would pause and be like, am I something changed with me recently? Like
mhm,
self-reflection a little bit. And I always encourage people when I see the signs, because I'm not a doctor. I offer always employee assistance program in the workplace, like EAP, to talking to a counselor. Maybe, when you have those conversations, you ask them, "How are you feeling lately? What's going on with you? What's happening?" And simple question is like asking what's happening with you these days. And
mhm,
people will might open up and say, "You know what? I've been working long hours. I come home, I have my young children, I have my family, and I'm running, a team. And I feel like I don't have time for myself,
mhm.
right? And that's an indicator. It's like, okay, so what I'm hearing is you have no pause, no break for yourself. There's no self-care. There's like you just keep going from one job to another, basically. So like you're like
Absolutely.
on a 24-hour 7 roll there, which is a lot. And these conversation needs to happen. And I would emphasis of people is like, if you see something different in somebody, ask them, because that might be the trigger to help them. Because like we said, we don't see it ourselves most of the time. Because like I can keep going. I'm tired, but I'm still gonna go. I'm not feeling right, but I have to do this. It's important. I can't, because we want to do well.
It's true. And you brought up a great point because I recall in my journey that I was actually functionally depressed. I don't even know if that's a term, but I'm just saying. I was continuing to do everything. My kids were in school on time. They were always prepared. Everything that was on the list was taken care of, but I didn't see the signs. It was my husband that sought intervention for me each of the 3 times that I was hospitalized because You just have this mindset that, okay, this is on the list, it's a priority. So I can't whine about somebody not doing whatever. It just needs to be done. So I'm going to do it. Right?
Mhm.
And so you just get into this mindset of telling yourself that sometimes completing these tasks and staying within a goal or a regimen is more important sometimes than your ability to pause, take a nap. I mean, we can do basic stuff. Go for a walk for 5 minutes, right? These are things that sometimes when you're in that mode, you just don't even it doesn't even come on your radar. It just doesn't even seem like it's a natural thing to do. It's like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. Everything's like a no, right?
You make a good point. The thing is, like, it's so important what you just said because we know all these things. But when you're in that hamster wheel, you forget to
Mhm.
use those tools that you know is there for you that you've done before, but your brain is not giving you the time to, and you're not giving yourself the time to process and be like, wait, did I drink water today? Did I have a meal? Like simple things, right? Because you just keep going and you forget.
It's true. I think, one of the best examples for me is when I first got my coach, she was in the UK and she charged like $1,000 a session. She didn't take payment arrangements. It had to be paid up front. And so I went and got a part-time job with one of my younger children at the time. She was a busser because she wasn't old enough to be a waitress, and I was a waitress. And so waiting tables, it's like you can go for a whole shift and not even use the restroom, not even get anything to drink. You're there 6 and 8 hours sometimes on your feet. And so that just reminds me about that whole thing of not being self aware of some of the things that you're not doing for yourself. Have I ate today? Have I got up to use the restroom? Have I went outside? When we had COVID, so many people were indoors that they didn't even think to just go outside and get some fresh air. So I love that you bring that up. Now, once we kinda have this awareness, which, for some people, that's a hard thing to do because, in my case, I thought it was a sign of weakness. "Oh my gosh, I am taking on a lot. I am feeling overwhelmed. How can I make it?" It was a scary thing to get out of my comfort zone of asking for help. So for somebody who is like, "I think I am going through this." What tip or advice would you give them about being able to get in a situation where they can start changing the narrative around this burnout?
Um, a lot of times I do tell people like go see your family doctor or your GP, right? Because they're able to provide a better assessment and really narrow down with their patient where they're at, what they see. Because sometimes, like you're doing a couple tests, your blood work will even dictate what you're gonna have to do next. Like, when you say you skip a meal, you did, let's say we haven't drink water, there's gonna be some portion of your body, someone's gonna be depleted somewhere. So
Mhm.
before making big changes, like you got to know where your body's at, right? And then from there, you're like, okay, what can we do next? So I think that's a really important part to have your physician involved. So to make sure you're going in the right direction, because when you're at that point, you need guidance and you need the
Yes.
support.
I love that. I think that is so important because we do things to our physical body from stress, anxiety, overwhelm, not getting any sleep. I mean, sleep deprivation alone, if people look that up, it can really wreak havoc on you. And so it's important to kind of have that baseline of understanding where you're at. And, it all comes together. How you eat and how you drink or sleep, all these things are a part of our health and wellness. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Now, we have situations, and I think about to myself, um, I wore a lot of masks. And so I write about it in articles and books and stuff around you have a smile, nobody knows what's going on behind the smile, and you feel like this is all you know. You don't really you would love for things to be different, but you just don't even know anything different. This is just all you're used to. So when you think about this journey from getting out of burnout, um, what kind of things do you think people should start implementing to kind of have that self-care or taking time to reflect? Because I know we definitely should get our doctors involved, and sometimes you need a counselor, a therapist, and things like that. But for a lot of people, for one, just admitting where they're at is a hard thing. So, what would you say would be a baby step for them to kind of incorporate some more self-care or time for reflection in their daily routine?
So sometimes not everybody has the ability to go see a doctor too, right? Let's be mindful
Mhm,
of that because of the cost and the time and things like that. So, you got to start looking at what's on your plate and see what you can shed away a little bit because you're
mhm,
tired, you're stressed, you might be sleep deprived, like you say, and that's a very common theme. And then what sleep deprivation does, it creates more anxiety, creates more stress, your lack of patience, and then that trickles down to other things. So
mm,
definitely shedding a couple things off your plate. It's like, does it have to be perfect all the time? Do you have to show up everywhere all the time? Do you have to be available to everybody all the time? You got to be able to shut down. You got to be able to put some boundaries. And I think that's the hardest thing to do, right?
mhm,
Because we're a lot of us are like, yes, I want to help. Yes, I'm going to be there. Yes, I want to support you. Yes, I'm going to show up. And yes, yes, yes. And next thing you know, you've been rolling 7 days a week, and did you have proper sleep? She's like, "Well, now I gotta catch up because I have something to draft for the next day, or I didn't have time today." And it's like small steps is you start shedding things off your plate. It's like, some of us we volunteer as well too a lot. Maybe we reduce our hours. We reduce, like the small things you do just to give you the time to process it yourself. Because, like you mentioned, and it's a valid point. It's like sometimes we're not comfortable looking at ourselves and say, "I'm on burnout." It's very difficult to assess yourself and look at yourself in that manner because you're like, "I'm a
mhm,
productive member of society. I'm productive of my family. I have a career. I'm out there. I'm busy." And I think we also associate busy with being successful. And
mm,
sometimes it's like, do I need to be as busy to be successful?
right. That's a good point. And I think, now that I'm on the other side, I just was telling lies to myself. I mean, at the end of the day, right? Because I just was believing a lie. I thought, oh, busy means I'm being productive. I just felt like I couldn't relax, all these things. And now it's like when you learn to know what your limits are, establish boundaries, I can go on vacation. I can take a nap in the middle of the day if I want to. I can give things over to other people and they can show up for me. I can make introductions if I know that I just have a lot going on right now. So I think, we haven't really been empowered in a positive way to believe that we just don't have to be all things to all people. And that to me, knowing that now, it's like, hey, I know what I can handle. And I know what I can do to bring the best version of myself. But I know I can't do that 24/7, right? I know that I have to take some time to refuel, rest, and get started for the next day. Now, Coach Carey says that sometimes we need permission for self care. And I think that is true. I think we feel so guilty to say, you know what, this is more than I can handle. Or I told you that I could show up and I just can't. I've got this going on and that. We think we can't change our mind, right, on some things. What are your thoughts about that? Needing permission for self care.
I think we're not, like, we get trained for a lot of things, and that's something that we don't learn. Nobody teaches us
Hmm.
for self-care. It's something that we kinda develop or we don't, and sometimes the guilt is like, "Well, I didn't while I'm taking the time to rest, I'm not being productive." And
Hmm.
especially for the achievers and people like yourself and a lot of people out there, we're just like, "Go, go, go." And when you stop, you feel like you're being lazy. right? Like that guilt, right? It's like, I'm not being productive, but guess what? Your body needs to rest.
Yeah.
And these hours of sleep, I know for me, for my best to operate with living with PCOS, I need 10 hours. So
Mhm.
my sleep routine is like very important. And when I skip it for a couple days, I feel it like there's no tomorrow. Like my
Yeah.
hormones are all over the place. And I can't control it
Mhm.
because that's just how it is.
Mhm.
So I think that, I'm in the business of self-care. Obviously, I'm making some handmade products, like special handmade products, like
Yes.
essential oil and that, because there's properties that I add to it that help. So, like for me, taking a lavender bath, which I did last night, I was on TikTok live with my people out there, and I said, you know what, I gotta go. I gotta go. And what I did, I went to sit for a minute on the couch, just like, I need to like disconnect from all the everything.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna prepare my bath salt and everything and my essential oils and stuff and my candle. I was like, I need that. I need it
Mhm.
because,
Mhm.
and then I did. And I gave myself that. And I can tell if I skip 2, 3 days of that, I can feel it like there's no
Yeah.
tomorrow. So incorporating some self-care in your daily routine. And I would say, even if you can start just with 30 minutes, baby steps, a
Yeah.
30-minute, because we all have busy lives. Some people have like a family, they like career, you travel a lot with work, or you have,
Mhm.
you're caring for your elderly parents. That also it's a full-time job in itself. Plus you're
Yeah.
working, plus everything else. So how do you find something in the day or in the evening that 30 minutes? Like
Mhm.
you gotta put that in your calendar if you have to.
I totally agree, and, it's a non-negotiable because it's one of those things where you're like sometimes you have it on your calendar, but then something else comes up and when you're not in that space of guarding that time, because you haven't seen the other side. It's the thing that you just skip right over that you don't do. But once you start honoring that time for yourself, and I challenge people to just do it for 15 minutes, right?
Hmm.
Because sometimes they might think 30 minutes is too much, but you can get a lot done in 15 minutes. I had a lady who we are in business together. And so I have a lot of different businesses, and so how I make time for them is to have that accountability meeting. And so we were meeting on certain days, and so we got to our meeting, and she's like, "Okay, well, we're going to go on Zoom, and I'm going to set the timer for 15 minutes, and you're going to make calls." And so I'm making the calls on my phone on Zoom, but that level of accountability, I mean, you'll be amazed. A lot of people aren't answering their phone during the day. However, it allowed me to connect with about 15 people within 15 minutes, right? That I normally wouldn't have because I just didn't take that time out. And so I tell people you just don't knock things until you try it because you'll be amazed if you just took 15 minutes to go take a walk, right? If you think you don't have time, just do it in whatever time you can because how it refuels you is so important. So, talk to us about your essential oils, your candles, and all that. How did you get to that point of knowing that that was the thing that recharged you?
So when I was younger, I like growing up in a family of chaos where you have too many siblings. I have 4 brothers, so for me, I started taking baths because that was like my only place that I could hide and have
Mm,
some alone and self-care time because younger siblings, older siblings, having brothers is different. Like, they're a bit more rough on this side, right? They don't play Barbie with you. They're gonna be destroying everything in the house, and it just
exactly.
doing it's just so it started that way. And at that time, I didn't know I had PCOS. I was young, but I know that lavender was helped me calm my nervous system, helped me sleep better, and it just helped me balance things a bit more. And then
Mhm,
I was a teenager doing that, and I kept it on. I've been doing it since, and throughout the years, I've took aromatherapy classes to really better understand the properties and what does it do. And I just find really a good place for me to that will help with my body. And then a couple years ago, when I got diagnosed with PCOS, then I've realized my body knew what it needed. I
mhm,
mentally couldn't see it, but my body knew. And I just listened to what my body was asking for. I just didn't know why it was, but I did it anyway.
That's
And
good.
so listening to yourself sometimes is like even times when you eat food and sometimes you have a craving for something. I'm not talking about chips because, you know,
Mhm,
but certain fruits or certain vegetables or maybe more meat or more fish or more like your body is like is very smart that it can tell you what it needs. So for like recently I had like a really strong cravings for beets all the time and cabbage and I didn't understand why. But when
mhm,
I got blood work, iron deficiency, my body already knew. And the doctor's like, listen, yeah, that's not good. You need to go to the hospital kind of thing. Um,
mhm,
it's also looking at the holistic of yourself. There's so many
mhm,
components, and even the diet has such an impact, right? If you eat late, if you eat food that doesn't resonate with your body, because we all are different. We all have different biology and we all have different type of food that's going to nourish us, or it actually does the opposite, right? It can really
mhm.
make you more sleepy, maybe brain fog. It actually doesn't help you to boost your system. It does the opposite. So
So
these
true.
are all the reason that kind of I look at as a holistic. And for me, self-care is about my self-care, my external, what I
Mhm,
need, and the internal to what I need. And I've read a couple years ago a book, Eat Right for Your Blood Type kind of thing.
mm,
And and then when I realized I had like also diagnosed with like celiac disease, well, the
mm.
blood type O cannot eat wheat, but it was
Right.
written right there, and I was just like, when I brought it to my doctor, because like we got to switch it up. We have no choice, PCOS and celiac. I was like, how does this even happen? And he's like, yeah, I think that's a good diet that we should follow. And he'd been putting me on keto diet since then. And when I follow through, I feel much better.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think that whole thing of knowing your body is powerful. And, when we have a lot of noise, for me, going through those 13 years, I didn't know my body. I was just like, okay, I might have a headache or, some other stuff is going on and you're not really pinpointing what it is because you're just in survival mode. So it could be a number of things, because you don't know if you ate, you don't know if you had enough water. I mean, it's just all these things that can compound. But one of the things that you mentioned that I think is so important around establishing the boundaries. And so for people who are not familiar with that, they don't know. For me, I was always, oh, yeah, I can do that. And I thought, I have to be productive, even though I'm a stay home mom. I met my husband in college and, we both were career driven. But staying at home, I had no model for that. So I didn't know. And then a lot of kids, I definitely didn't have anybody that could model. So for me, productivity is having tasks, getting them done, getting recognized for them, and all this other stuff. But I didn't realize that boundaries were for me and not for the other people. So for people who are, like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know how to have a boundary. What advice would you give them around that?
It's simple as stop saying yes to everything, right? Because of guilt.
Mhm,
And I think that's really hard to do when when you don't want to disappoint others, you want to support others, and you feel like you're giving up on them, and it's not the case. Is if you're doing so much for others, why are you not reciprocating to yourself too?
mm,
So
yeah,
we got to look at ourselves as well, and having that mindset. And I always tell leaders as well, if you have a clear mind, you can lead with clarity. If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others. So
mm,
you got to learn how to lead yourself first, right? So these are important, and boundaries, it takes time to put them in place, but start with smaller ones. Try
mhm,
it. See how you feel, and try not to work on the guilt, because if you're not well, nothing's going to happen. And then when you're in that burnout situation, what I see is it takes more time to recover than
mhm,
the burnout itself. So if we start seeing those signs, okay, I'm misaligned. My body's telling me I'm misaligned. I need to shift, and it's quick. It needs to be quick sometimes, but us also recognizing it, it's a really, and I understand it's not easy. It's really not easy, and you don't see
mhm,
yourself, but you still need to. really start putting those boundaries for yourself because you got to look at yourself as, I have this body is giving, it's my temple. I have one only. So if like, it's like when you have a car, when it's broken, you take it to the garage, you get it fixed.
Yeah. Mhm.
So why are you not fixing not that you should fix yourself, but taking care of yourself
Right.
and your body and everything, like everything around you, the way you eat, the way you sleep, the way you interact, when you take pause, the products you use. I know for me, products is a big part of my holistic
Mhm.
approach. Hence why I make my products because I'm so sensitive. That's why I make candles that are vegan because it's clean burn because
Mhm.
the chemicals of the burn of a candle can be toxic, right? So these
Yeah.
all these little things you can change around to kind of set a tone for yourself for some self-care. It doesn't have to be complicated, but these boundaries, eventually you got to stop saying yes to everything.
Yeah, I totally agree, and then, which brings me to the yes year that you have, right? Um, because some people are like, "Okay, I say no, I'm not supposed to say yes, but then she's saying yes." I mean, what does this all mean? And, I asked about the boundaries first because we have to know what we can handle. I remember I was in prayer one day, and I used to do these Facebook Lives, and I would always start them with one scripture. And one day, I believe the Lord was saying, this is not for you. No, it's not for the other people. This is for you. you know, it's not that you have arrived. You are telling them some stuff that you're going through. Right. And so he said, so you believe that Jesus died on the cross and saved the whole world, so that everybody can be saved. And he had 12 disciples. So what makes you think you could do it by yourself? So that was a very humbling moment for me because, growing up as an only child, it's like, hey, you don't lean on people. I mean, I don't have any siblings. It's just, I got to do everything for myself, just having that mindset. So even being able to branch out and collaborate with other people, that really was a hard thing to learn. So for people who are, you know, how do you say yes while keeping within the constraints of your boundaries and knowing, what it is that you want to accomplish, without having that pressure of pleasing other people.
Hmm. So yes, you're right. I'm in my yes year, which that contradicts what I'm saying right now. But um, I'm moving differently. So
Mhm.
because in 2025 I lost my job and then my dad got sick, got cancer, and then I was in school at the same time and I was traveling for work and I was doing 12, 16-hour day and I was a different city every week. And my school was in Vancouver. So when I was in Toronto, Montreal, the time difference, I would be up until midnight and I would have to wake up at 5 because I have to be in the office. You got to get breakfast, some food or whatever, something, shower, get ready. And I just keep going and then my dad was sick. Was like trying to be there for him, and I couldn't be. I could not be there for me. And these were all circumstantial. That I was like, how do I put like I? And I lived in a different city. My friend was in Montreal, and I'm in Vancouver. So
Mm.
very challenging. And I tried my best to keep me in line, eating
Yeah.
healthy, and drinking my water and taking breaks. But it just didn't work. I
Mhm.
tried my best, and I'm paying the price now. But my yes year, and this is where 2026, I said, you know what? I'm going to say yes because I'm going to be more intentional about my yeses.
Mhm.
Yes to things that energize me. Yes, that brings positivity in my life. Yes, that you utilize my skills and my abilities. Yes, to connecting with people that are like-minded. So I'm saying yes to things that I want to do that feels that it's right for me. And I'm not saying yes to everything. So
Mhm.
I'm very intentional about my yeses, and I'm trying to move more with purpose.
Yeah. I mean, it's a game changer when you do that because I think, the right things come up. So when you have that energy about saying yes for the like-minded people or, being in line with the right businesses or organizations, it just naturally opens up opportunities for their platform for you to be more in alignment with the things that you want to share or the things that you want to do. And, it's going to require you sometimes to get out of your comfort zone. It might be, okay, we're going to do an interview with you on the news. They're like, what? But I think it's a thing where, when you are comfortable about your message, how you want to show up, what you want to do and the impact you want to make, it makes it where, okay, I'm learning this. I see you and Coach Carey, you're on Substack. You and I met through Keith on the audio version of the Substack where, it was just our profile picture. Now we're on video, showing up different places. You supported us just this past week on our Zoom mastermind, where Coach Gary was one of the panelists. So I think, it's this thing where, hey, sometimes you have technology and things that are new, but you understand the connection with the audience that you're serving. And so it helps you to not, just say, no, I don't know about that. It's just like, hey, let's do it. Let's just figure it out. One of the things I say is we're building the plane while we're flying, right? Because, when you have an idea and you have that compelling thought to do something, when you put it out there, it attracts the right people, and before you know it, you're doing whatever it is you were thinking about.
Exactly. And then that's and you said really something really important, I think, is like that alignment. When you're aligned with
Mhm.
yourself and the universe or everything aligns. And that makes a big difference as well for yourself, even for recovery, doing things that you enjoy, doing things that
Mhm.
it's a safe place that relaxes you, that happy place for you. We all have those places, whatever it is. It can be different things. And hence, yes, we met through Keith, and they've been coaching me. He's like, Layla, I think you have a great message. People would like to hear. I'm like, who wants to hear me speaking? But he's like, well, you have a good background. It would be helpful. It would resonate with
Yes.
people. And I said yes to writing articles in like business magazines, published magazines about leadership, about women empowerment, developing people, wellness, entrepreneurship, because the things that I do, that's part of who I am. And we met on a show, and I said, why not meet up with LaChelle? She sounds lovely. Why not do it? And here we are today. So yes, but intentional and meeting like-minded. So it helps me not to burn out as much because I'm doing something that fulfills me.
I love that. Now, you have a lot of people listening that they're like, okay, I want to say yes, I want to collaborate. How do you know the right people to collaborate with or, to spend time with? Because a lot of people struggle with that. I have a questionnaire that I give people when they're just connecting with me. What are some challenges that you have? And a lot of them are like finding the right people to collaborate with. So, what advice would you give them as you're going on this journey yourself around who do you know is a good fit or not a good fit?
That's a really great question. I've learned as I go recently, and for me, I was like, you know what? I need to meet people like-minded. I need community. I was desperate for community because I've lost so much of it, and I feel like I was lacking also having that support, having that people that I can talk to that can just be my authentic self. They will understand. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to be wearing all these masks to be different and have to be performative. And how it started is like, like Coach Carrie's been doing it. I've been doing it. Those like coffee chats, those cocoa chats, very informal discussions with people, and just open your calendar to meet new people, see where it
That's
can
my
take you.
My grandson was leaving. He's, 4 months, 5 months? 4 months old. He's in the car seat. My son was bringing him to tell me bye. Okay.
Nice.
But go real life. Look, I told him before we got started, okay? You never know
Yeah,
what
yeah.
can go on
There you
this
go. Well,
household.
life is life, right? It's you can't. There's things you can't just like get block, like put barriers completely. Like life still happens. Like you got to be
It's so
mindful.
true. Yeah.
So,
Well,
so
and, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it just makes me think, like, now my kids because I really started doing a lot of video during the pandemic, and now they are just like, "Oh, okay." cameras on, "Hey," they just come right in and just talk, and I'm like,
They're used
"We
to
are live, okay?"
it.
So, yeah, they are just very comfortable with being on the camera, but go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt what you were
No worries, it's all good. It's because people are having families at home and children and the dogs
Mhm.
and all that. Like you can't tell them you can't pause what right, they're
Yeah.
still around. You gotta be mindful of that. Um, so yeah, finding community for me, like even like just a couple weeks ago, I wanted to give up on LinkedIn, honestly, Lachelle. I was just like, this too
Really?
performative. I thought it was too performative. I didn't see the benefit of it. I wasn't connecting with anything interesting. It was just not going anywhere.
Mhm.
And then I was on school communities and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I start meeting people. And then I said, you know what? How about I do like Coach Carrie started like coffee chat. I started hot chocolate chat and we had our own. And
Mhm.
that's how I start meeting interesting people and that I would never met before because they're not in my circle. So I said, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's open the calendar to people that I don't know and see what happens.
Mhm.
So being
Mhm.
open to new things, to meet people outside of your circle. And the alignment, I was like, I want to meet people like-minded because Layla of 2024, 25 is different in 26. And I need to
Mhm.
meet people that where I'm at.
Yeah.
And that
I love
helped
that.
me the past few weeks. Here I am. I honestly didn't think this would be happening at all. I didn't, not that I didn't believe in it, but I'm like, I'm looking for that. I just did not know how. But at the same time,
Yeah.
we throw into the universe or whatever what we want, and then the how we don't know that it just happens, and
S
it happened organically.
Yeah. I love that. And I think you brought up a good point around these social media platforms are tools, right? They are helping us to get where we want to go. And sometimes we can get so caught up in, okay, this person does it this way. That's going to be the way that I have to do it. And that just doesn't resonate with us or maybe even the audience that we want to attract. I, I know I'm just about on every platform except for probably X, but I'm not active on it because there were phases in my business as I was growing where, I used to be on Pinterest. I mean, I have a Pinterest account, but I'm not really active on there. TikTok. I mean, I started that thing a long time ago and I'm not even really active on there, right? So some of these different things, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because, you might have a social media manager or somebody who gives you some advice on how you should show up. But I think it also depends on your industry, whatever it is that you're doing. If you are busy connecting with people and meeting with them in various spaces, you may not have time to do a social media like somebody else's, maybe even in the different phase of their business. Maybe they're building. I remember when I was building my business, I could be everywhere. I had a lot more time on my hands, right? Because I was making connections, building up my network. But as that grew and opportunities came, then that gave me less time to do other things that I used to have a lot of time for. So I'm really glad that you brought that up because a lot of people might think, oh my gosh, something's wrong with me if I'm not doing it 5 hours a day or 3 hours a day like somebody else who appears to be successful, and I'm just being like a slacker trying to get this done.
It's so true because the social media sometimes can just be it portrays one thing, but what's happening behind the scene we don't know.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. So, is She Wins March month for us in terms of having collaborations, different events, for women, just to help them come together, collaborate, and get resources from one another, help each other win. What are some things that you have going on and coming up? And tell us about your products and everything, because I think that is a valuable resource that you could provide for a lot of people when it comes to a small step with even taking that time for self care. So,
Hmm.
what's coming up for you?
So for me, I'm doing a bit of like a couple retail orders that was going out the past few days between all
Hmm.
my attending all these events. These products are handmade. I make it myself, so I need the time to make them, right? So, um, and So I've designed it as like it's giving you opportunity to have like your hammam spa ritual experience in the comfort of your home. So you can create your home spa at home.
Mm.
And that's how I created the business for people to not everybody can go and spend a day at a spa spending a couple $100. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to make it
Mhm.
accessible for people. And that's how I designed the products. My products go from like $5 to $50 is the most expensive.
Okay.
And so I try to have a range. So like Bad Bombs they're about 7.95. They're made with essential oil and natural ingredients. So one of that, even once a week or twice a week, you want to take a bath, you want to relax, you have essential oil like lavender, you have the rose wine, you have the
Mhm.
eucalyptus mint, peppermint. And eucalyptus mint peppermint is great for people. If you're standing up, you're achy everywhere, you're standing up all day on your feet or you have like achy everywhere, like your body is like, when you work hard physically, or even when you're sick and not feeling well, these are oils that will help you with your breathing and clear like your mucus and just like help you relax a
Mm.
little bit more. Like they all have different properties, and that's why I've created
Mhm.
the products. Like, if you like, I created loofahs, so which is a biodegradable sponge. It comes from a cord, and
Right.
it's natural. And I cut it and I put soap in it, so it's great to exfoliate your skin if you want to be able to
Oh,
like when you go in those spa places, they put all this exfoliating, but this is about $11 and it'll last for like weeks, right? And you don't have to
wow.
maintain it, clean it, and that gives you that little, I'm gonna scrub my body, remove all the impurities and excess of like dead skin and all that stuff. And even just like a face mask, they're about $20 for about 60 gram, but they'll last you a couple months because you do one or two scoops. You make your own face mask. It's different type of clays. I like my
Mm.
kaolin clay because I have a very sensitive skin, so it's more soft for the skin for myself. And I do extra self care on Sunday where I do my
Mm.
exfoliation, I do my face mask, and then I do my hair and my nails and all that because I do my on nail polish because
Oh,
I use I use products that are not disruptive to hormones because when you have PCOS, all these chemicals and products can disrupt your hormones, including nail polish. So I
wow.
make
Had
my
no
own.
idea.
Yeah, so makeup, skincare, there's hormones and there's ingredients like paraben, sulfates,
Yeah.
SLS disrupt your hormones. And for me, I'm very self-conscious of that because everything does. So that's why I have a clean diet, fruits, protein. I
Yeah.
can't eat processed food. And my products on my skincare is even more important because of all these chemicals that disrupt the hormones. And my products are without any of that because I can't use it on myself. So even the bath salts I have from $20 to like $30. But the $20 bag, you can get 4 or 5 bats out of that with lavender or eucalyptus if you're feeling your body's you need more, you have some tension that also helps. And then my soaps are all made with cocoa butter, mango butter, shea butter. Like it's very soft for your skin, so I don't need to hydrate my skin because my products do that
Mm.
for me. So the whole way I've designed is very holistic, but giving an experience
Mhm.
for people to be able home and enjoy a spa experience from the comfort of your home. And because it comes from my Moroccan traditional ritual of cleansing and going in hammams, and that's how I learned the cleansing ritual is from my grandmother that taught me and took me to these hammam where they used to come up with those rocks that those I can't remember the word now. It's not coming out, but they're red volcanic rocks that they used to scrub. Okay, so
Oh,
you with the community in the hammam there, and they're like cleaning you like really. It's really rough on the skin.
wow.
And that's how I've learned it, and I decided, I need something a bit, milder for my little skin here, and that's why I decided to create loofahs instead. And that's how
I
I came with
see.
my traditional of like the bathing ritual. I came from that, and I built it around that. And it's for some cultures, it's a community event, but also it's a place for people to relax and like really take time for yourself. Because your clothes, there's no wind, like there's no windows, you can't see what's happening outside. You don't bring your phone, like you're disconnected. So I
Yeah.
wanted to create that opportunity for others to be in that environment created in your home and disconnect. So
Yeah.
you have all this type of products that can help you do that from whatever budget. And I really enjoy doing it because it's also self care for me to create because I'm a creative. So
Yeah. That's good. Now, so, for a candle, how long does that usually take you to make? And how many do you make at a time? As for
It dep
somebody who's
it depends, it depends of the orders. Like, I can make, like, probably within an hour, I can make probably 50 plus, 100 plus candles if I'm fast enough.
yeah.
Right? Like,
Wow.
so because I use very, simple raw ingredients. I use the vegan soy wax, right? Because
Mhm.
all my products are vegan. So that's
Mhm.
also one thing. And, I use, also botanical fragrances as well, which is like less synthetics. So I use
Mhm.
those and they last for a while. And when it burns, it's clean burn. So it's healthy
Mhm.
for the environment. It doesn't do all this toxic smoke. And all my products are biodegradable. And I use also packaging that are recyclable, like glass, bamboo, uh, aluminum. So I'm really self-conscious about also the environment because I want to make sure that, I do my part as well. And some of them you can reuse them for other things. Like your candle jar, when it's done, you can clean it and use it for something else. The face mask as well, jars, when it's clean, it's done, you can use it for something else if you want. Even the bath salt jars, well, they're bamboo and glass. When you're done, you can reuse it. So
Love that.
yeah.
That's good stuff. I'm definitely somebody that repurposes stuff, okay? It's like if your shorts are too tight, I mean, if your pants are too tight, turn them into shorts, right? With a large family, you find a way to work it out. And kids can be so creative where, if somebody gets a spot on it, then they're tie-dyeing them. So now or they cut holes in it because now you have the holes in the pants. That's the style now, where you have holes in your pants. It's crazy, right? But Coach Carey says that you should trademark that concept about the home spa. I think that is a good idea because, that really it puts a different spin on it
Mhm.
and it definitely separates you from other people. Now, you've been like on a lot of shows. I've seen you guys, I think even over the weekend. Last
Mhm.
night, it was International Women's Day. I saw you, Coach Carrie, and William on. So, what events do you have coming up that you want people to support you with? Wherever you're showing up.
Great question. I'm not even sure myself at this point. Um, I don't believe I have anything upcoming, but I would have to look, but I don't think I have anything upcoming. I would say most of the things has been a bit like on a freestyle because it's so new to me. It's like people's like, "Hey, you're this event coming up." It's like, "Oh, I had no idea." Yeah, like Coach Carey, we have so many things and it's very kind of like last minute and you want to support. It's like, "Oh, wait, we just jump in from one thing, we're going to another." Because I'm still in that moment of connecting and learning what everybody's show is and what they're bringing me in. I
Yes.
know there are podcasts they want to bring me in, but I have to respond and give them a date.
Oh,
So
yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. But I'll definitely post that on my social media when I have more specific dates. And I was just fortunate as well to be able to like won an award yesterday, which I wasn't really expecting.
Oh, congratulations.
So yeah, I won a 2026 Global International Women Global Impact for
Oh,
2026, and I wasn't expecting this. I was like, wow, this is nice to be recognized of something. So I was just very very grateful for having something like that, especially for women and
yes.
recognition, right? So um, for
Well,
me that
I'm
was a big
I'm just
moment.
so excited. Yeah. I am a celebrity. Okay, I got somebody that just won an award, so I'm excited, okay? Glad to be having you in the building. But I think that's another thing. Sometimes so having won that award, because that could be a thing too. I think about Michael Jackson, where he just was so well with his music that it made it hard for him to keep on that path because it was like he had to be better. He had to keep doing something faster or quicker or whatever. So, how do you navigate through, winning an award and having that time to enjoy it and not feel like, okay, what's the next thing?
Um, I'm just still like, what, it is great. It's great to be recognized. I enjoy it. I feel like for me, it was more like, okay, I felt like I made a difference in other people's lives.
Mhm.
And that was more rewarding to me than anything else. So for me, I'm not more of a celebrity. I'm no better than anybody else. I'm not like, I'm still me. I'm still gonna show up
Mhm.
the same way. I'm not gonna show up
Mhm.
differently. And I think that is the word should go to all women, honestly. And that's what I put on my post because all
Yeah.
women deserves a recognition. Okay.
Amen.
A
Mhm.
lot of women do a lot in the world.
Mhm.
Either if you have a career, you're a stay-at-home mom, and guess what? It's a job because when if you take your kids, you drop them off to the daycare, they do the same job as you. But they get paid. So
It's
how
true.
is her or them or whoever they're recognized as a worker, but you, a stay-at-home mom, you're not. You're doing the same job. You're
Yeah.
raising and preparing the future generation. That has
Yeah.
way more value than what
Mhm.
I do because I don't do that. So, you know what I mean? I don't want to
Yeah.
negate anybody just because you don't have a title, just because you don't have a certain
Right.
certification. It's like, for me, it's human to human. As a human, you
Yeah.
have value. We have abilities, skills. We all bring something to the table, whatever it is. We all do.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna stay me. I'm just gonna show up as me, and that's just my mindset too. We're all people, and it's great. I'm very proud of it. I don't win much of anything, and it's nice. But
Yeah.
still me.
I love that. Now, if anybody wants to kinda take this conversation further as we're talking about burnout and wanna reach out to you, where is the best place for them to connect with you?
They can connect with me on LinkedIn, Layla Balabas. You can find. There's
Mhm.
not many of me. I think I'm the only one. So you can find me easily on LinkedIn or Substack or TikTok, YouTube's as well. But yeah, people can DM me if they have questions. They want a hot chocolate chat. I posted in. I'm still getting requests. People's like, I want to have a hot chocolate hot cocoa chat with you. So I'm excited about it. People are open to the idea, and I think that's
Mhm.
fun. So I think we just need to continue supporting, building community, and building relationships. And
Yeah.
building relationships that we feel is nourishing us, is
Mhm.
like-minded, and that you feel it's bringing you joy and happiness in your life. You don't want to build a relationship with people that are gonna you feel like it's dragging you down. It doesn't resonate with you. That's okay if you don't feel like it's the right connection. Nice meeting
Well,
you, and then you move on to the next, right? I want people to move on with more intention and purpose this year. Let's do that.
I love that. So my last question is, what woman inspires you to continue to do the things that you're doing?
You know, I'm in Canada, so for me, when I was growing up and still when I was in my career, I didn't see many women of color, and I'm a visible
Mhm.
minority. And I remember, I think I was in Canadian military base where I worked, and we had some leadership training, and I did my uh, what's the called those maps where you put like your future, current. I can't remember the word now,
Okay.
but
Mind
uh,
mapping or something?
yeah, like a visual board, I think.
Okay. Okay.
And I was looking through magazines, and I always had an admiration for her, and I picked Oprah because she was the closest that I can connect with for mindset and as a woman of color. And I always looked at her, and she wasn't there, and I cut her and I put her on my vision board. And I'm like, I want to be like her. I aspire to because she's done so much for so many people. She's giving so much with all her wealth. She keeps giving back. And I said, I want to build something that I'm going to be able to inspire, empower others, and support others. And I just thought that that's the person that I admired the most growing up, and still these nowadays, where
Mhm.
I just felt that she has so much representation in so many ways, and hence also where my Splish Splash Shine products, I donate products to nonprofit organization for the fundraising activities, because I do believe that giving back is important. And I've recently give to an organization that were helping women that experiencing domestic violence,
Mhm.
and these things because that's important. So that really resonated with me. So that's kind of the person led me to who I am a lot now, because growing up, I was watching her because there was nobody else.
Yeah.
But maybe there was, but that's all I could see. I'm in Canada, so
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, she had a following and an audience, so yeah, I definitely, agree with that. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I have really enjoyed this conversation, and I do wanna encourage everybody that if you are challenged with burnout, overwhelm, you wanna have a hot chocolate chat to connect with Layla. And that's not just for women, I think men get burnout and overwhelmed too. We sometimes just don't even bring that to the table, but, uh, I'm sure she would be happy to talk to, anybody regarding the topic because it's a universal, uh, trauma that we all can be, plagued with. So thank you so much, Layla, for being here and, your courageous intention to show up on these platforms, regardless of if we know what we're doing, conducting ourselves on them or not, but it's all about the message. This is another thing that I would encourage people that, don't get caught up in, okay, do I have the right light, the earrings, or whatever, just, share your message because it's going to impact the right people, just as you have just shown that to us with you being recognized for the impact that you're making with your message and your presence in the world. So, thank you so much for your time, Layla. And I want to give you the opportunity to share any final thoughts with the audience today.
Well, I would say thank you for having me, and I would say, you know, um, learn to lead yourself before you lead others. So really, your self-care is utmost important because the world needs you, so you gotta take care of yourself.
Love that. We got to put our own oxygen mask on first before we help other people. So thank you so much. Coach Carrie is cheering us on. She said we did an amazing job. And I'm a person that I got to stay focused. And I love, Layla, how you've been answering the people in the comments. I'm over here. 'Cause I get
I'm
distracted.
trying.
People get to saying a good thing, and I'm like, "Oh, here I am, squirrel, off the topic," okay? So I'm trying to stay focused and present, so I appreciate you for, even, engaging. So we wanna thank all you guys for, watching us today. We do have another mastermind, this Wednesday, and Coach Carrie is gonna be on that panel again. So, stay tuned for that. It's Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central. It's on Zoom. So you have to sign up to connect with us in order for you to be in the room because it's not something that we're live streaming. But thank you guys so much for being here. And remember, she wins March. And we want to remind you guys to go and be brilliant in the world today. Bye, everybody. Bye, Layla.
Right.